Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to International Women's Day Lunch and Learn. The purpose of today is to really concentrate on International Women's Day and the celebration, really, of women's achievements, notwithstanding the work that we know, obviously, we still have to do. I was very lucky myself to go to Devon and Somerset to kind of celebrate International Women's Day there, and I did say it's like my Christmas. It's a wonderful day for me because it's usually a great opportunity to spend it with inspirational women and to have that moment of reflection about, what we've all done to support each other and what we've all done to forge our way. I think it's fair to say in quite a man's world. I think it's fair. With us today, we also have representatives from Women in the Fire Service. I'm sure they will talk about, again, Women in the Fire Service and certainly what the organisation has done in the decades that it's been going to move from a position of supporting women to survive to a position of supporting women to thrive within fire and rescue services. So that's a little bit of the intro. Remember, embrace equity was indeed the theme for International Women's Day this year. And without further ado, I will, if it's okay, pass over to Jules, Caroline and Miriam just to talk about women in the fire service before we certainly bring in Vianna, who's going to talk about her experiences. Jules, Caroline and Miriam, over to yourselves, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Kath, and thanks for the welcome. I'll just say a few words and then I'll hand over to my good colleagues. So yeah, reflections of women in the fire service. We are approaching 30 years old now, and actually the history of women in the fire service was set up by women, for women, and very much, I think Kath, you've already alluded to, very much a man's world. 30 years ago, there were even less women working in the fire and rescue service, and not just firefighting roles, that's all roles across the fire and rescue service. And it started off reasonably small. There were some very passionate women that brought the first ever Women in the Fire Service, or it was Networking Women in the Fire Service then, conference at the Fire Service College in 1996. And I know I was certainly an attendee at that event, and maybe some of you were too. And that really was the start of it, which is really an opportunity for people to come together, to share experiences, to grow and learn together. I think sometimes there are times when people feel a little bit alone in the fire and rescue service and feel like perhaps they're the only one that has got this experience, and sometimes not wanting to speak out with their people, at work. And so it's an opportunity to thank you, Miriam, for saying you were a babe in arms in 1996. Were you indeed?
I wasn't really. I had 3 kids by then. But
it really has just been an opportunity to bring that network closer together so people feel that they have someone to talk to. And I think probably the thing that we are most famous for, which huge thanks to Caroline, because our training and development event wouldn't be what it is with her and some good people on this call. That's an opportunity on an annual basis to bring 250 like-minded, predominantly women together to engage in a real safe space to work, to do some training, to celebrate some awards, to come together, to come out of your comfort zone, to drive a fire engine blindfolded, to do a bit of confidence boosting. And some of the stories we've heard of people coming away from that is, as a result of attending this event, I felt more confident returning into the workplace. I felt able to go for that promotion. I felt able to do this. I felt able to speak up for these. And our real ethos is all around, if she can see it, she can be it, and very much about role modelling for the future. And actually, as I look around the screen, I see nothing but role models. I'm absolutely so proud to be the chair of this amazing organisation, but it wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for all those people that came before us. And certainly from a personal point of view, one thing that I am super passionate about, and that is looking over my shoulder and seeing who's coming on behind me. And that's something that we're really passionate about within Women in the Fire Service. And we have really grown, and we are much bigger than just the training and development event now. and I could probably spend the entire hour talking about it, but I won't. But I will probably pause there and invite Caroline and then Miriam maybe just to say a few words about WFS. Thank you.
Thanks, Jules. Hi, everybody. Great to see so many lovely people here on the call. Just to echo really what Jules says, WFS has been, well, it is, it's just such a great organisation there to support ladies from whatever rank or role. It's not for senior leaders by any means. We're just all there to support anybody that needs it. And the training and development is, of course, just the most amazing event. We'd love to be able to do them all over the country every month, but unfortunately it takes an awful lot of organisation. But this one in June is really going to be another great one. So yeah, we're always here for anybody if anybody needs any help or support. But yes, welcome and thanks everybody for coming today. I shall pass over to Miriam.
Thanks, Jules and Caroline. I think what I'd want to say, and I'd want to get a little bit more into the nub of things here. For International Women's Day, we were talking about embracing equity. That was the theme. And as we all know from recent reports, and there'll be many of people on this call who've had their own experiences or witnessed other people having negative experiences in various ways, some at the lower level and some at the more extreme end of what it's like to work as a woman in a fire and rescue service. And I think that being open and honest, Women in the Fire Service provides not only a network, a support network, but also a set of role models across every single level in the fire and rescue service in terms of support that you can receive. I know I can speak from a personal perspective and say that during my career in the fire and rescue sector, Women in the Fire Service has been a major support for me and a major support for many other women who I've come into contact with. Some of you may find that you get pushback within your own services about being involved with Women in the Fire Service. And that's okay. We've all experienced that to a certain extent. Please, I would implore you, do not allow that to stop you from reaching out for support or for taking part in what are some excellent events that can really help build confidence, that can really help develop skills, and can really help all of us to contribute to the fire and rescue service in terms of the services we provide to our communities. Do not allow the pushback to stop you engaging with that if it's what you want to do. And I think that as part of the International Women's Day celebrations, it would be really remiss of us to neglect to think about some of the stories that have been coming out in recent months. Now, you may not be a victim of that kind of behaviour. You might not have even seen that kind of behaviour, but being aware of it and embracing that equity and supporting other women around you can just make a massive difference to the lives of people. And I'm speaking to the women in the group as well as the men in the group. And actually, for the men in the group, you're not excluded. People of all genders are included in Women in the Fire Service. And the reality of that is that actually you can be role models and you can support women who are not necessarily getting the right support within their own service. And I'll leave it there. I think what Dawn has put in the chat as well is another important point, is that actually we've had many members of WFS and we've had lots of people who've acted as brilliant mentors and really helped people to look at other careers within the fire and rescue service. And I think that is something that for any of you, if you're keen on looking at other careers in your services or in other services, that's something that we can put you in contact with a mentor or a coach to enable you to have a look at what you need to do to get there. Thanks for that, Dawn.
Thank you. What I would like to do now is pass over to Liana. So firstly, huge congratulations on your promotion and move to, is it Manchester? Excellent, superb, well done. And Liana, if you wouldn't mind just going through your story really, because it is an excellent story. And yeah, just kind of sharing that with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Hello, everybody, and thanks for the introductions, Jules, Caroline and Miriam. Great insight to the network, really. So I'm Liana Slatzka-Jones. I can see that there's quite a few familiar faces on the call. And first of all, thank you for this opportunity to sort of kind of share my story, really. I'm not good at this bit usually, but, I'll do my best to kind of share some of the sort of journey that I've been on, really. But I started my career as an on-call firefighter in Gloucestershire back in 2016. So those who can do maths, I make it about 7 years ago. And I can see Sally there, Imran, Obi on a call. So hello to Gloucestershire. And, you know, I've had a really, really amazing start to my career as an on-call firefighter, because I really, really wanted to give to my local community who welcomed me when I initially came back from Latvia and didn't speak much English. So that was my opportunity to be that community firefighter and really, really do some fantastic engagement to educate and support those most vulnerable individuals. And I was part of a close-knit team at Gloucester North, and that's where kind of my roots come from. And my team, I was the only female at the time on station, in on-call capacity, but they really took me under their sort of wing and such, taught me the ropes, if you like. I was quite fortunate enough to join a whole time soon after that, and then kind of my career progression started quite quickly. And I think that almost became the biggest setback that I have experienced, because I progressed so quickly. There was that kind of perception that you have to need to be enrolled for a certain amount of time. There was always talk about that time served, and that kind of almost became a real barrier. And so network like Women in the Fire Service was my sort of platform where I gained that advice from, likes of Julie, Danny Cotton, Alex Johnson from, South Yorkshire at the time, and Joe Singh from my own service. And only being amongst those sort of really powerful women, as I saw them like real role models at the time, and I still look up to them to this day. They've, believed in me, encouraged me, and they said, there's no time speculation. Just do what you're doing and do it well, and you'll get there, girl. And that gave me real encouragement. Fantastic opportunities in Gloucestershire. Really enjoy the fact that my leadership team at the time gave me opportunities, and where I'm very different to my peers, I don't say no to an opportunity. I embrace it. I'm really openly, I know I'll make mistakes. I'm not afraid to make mistakes, because I think we all learn from our mistakes, and I almost self-reflect, debrief my mistakes and kind of learn from them and try not to do them again. And I've also had a real kind of, with Gloucestershire, I had that first step into that supervisory manager role, which it was very different. Being a firefighter, I felt I had all the support I needed. But as soon as I stepped out in that supervisory manager's role, I felt there was a real gap, because there wasn't really, what we tend to do at the time was you get the job and the training kind of follows after, but you don't get all the tools of how to be a good kind of incident commander, or how to actually deal with some of the people issues that crop up, and you need to be there resolving those. So for me personally, that was probably the hardest step up. And even now, sector wide, I can see that that's where the biggest gap is. A lot of the female firefighters don't like to step up in those supervisory roles, and I was very fortunate to be part of the National Fire Chief Council's working group that looked at the Supervisory Manager Leadership Programme, and I sort of, looked at those foundations. Well, what are the barriers to the progression? Why are we not putting ourselves out there? And I was able to share some of my own experiences, and so that was embedded in that programme. So really pleased with that. So kind of with Gloucestershire, I've kind of felt once I'd done my supervisory manager role, I felt like it was really hard to progress further, because I was there a firefighter, and sometimes I didn't feel that people were taking me on kind of the face value. They were, perhaps judging me on my experiences as a firefighter, and on the learning that I had along the way. So I applied to be a station manager in Cumbria, and I was fortunate enough to, be successful in a really competitive process. And so I started my journey up north, and that was in itself a really brave move for me, because I sort of put myself out there away from my 8-year-old daughter, and also I had to learn a new way of doing things, and I also had to learn a completely new role and incident command at level 2 as well. Cumbria, because nobody kind of knew me and my kind of journey before I joined them, really, I've had some fantastic mentors there, Ian Seal, John Griffiths, and they really kind of just got me, and they really celebrated the fact that I was so different than most of the officers there. And that's not just talking about the kind of the fact that, I was a female officer. It was just I had a very different way about me. I smiled a lot, and I was very approachable. and I was kind of more people's focused, and I suppose that was the big visible difference. And Cumbria, what I've enjoyed in Cumbria as well, it's a very rural, a very different kind of operationally. We were part of major incidents like Storm Arvin, so they gave me a lot of exposure at the kind of like working kind of strategic coordination groups and doing some of that kind of bigger kind of pieces operationally as well, which was really, really good learning for me on a personal level. So with Cumbria, I managed to do 2 years, but because I never relocated there, I felt I needed to get a little bit closer to home. And very, very recently, I've joined Greater Manchester, and I'm now group manager in prevention. It's only my second week here. I'm receiving really warm welcome. Just done my driver training to refresh it. It was very different to driving around big city than what I'm used to in Cumbria, but done really well. And I had some really, really good, coaching instructors. So to kind of summarize all that, really, I've been in sector for 7 years, and a lot of people kind of, the perception is that, how can you progress so quickly? And ultimately, what I'm trying to say doesn't mean that everyone will be progressing at this kind of pace. We're all different. We're all unique. Some people are very happy being firefighters, and that's also fine. But you need to find your own kind of journey and your own aspirations and your own kind of, and what Women in the Fire Service can give you is that platform for support and advice and empowerment, really. For me personally as well, now through that platform, I've run the Future Firefighter programs. I've been on a national podcast, so I've been able to share some of my experiences of good, bad, and on all the setbacks that I've had along the way. And it has given me real kind of opportunity to inspire some of the sort of future generations as well. And it's really lovely to see when I come to the national, event, I see some people and they come to me and they said, "Oh, you did a mock interview with me," or "You looked at my application form," or "I've listened to your podcast and now, I have gone, that's encouraged me to put myself forward." So to kind of, there's no real kind of structure to what I'm talking. I always talk some from heart, bottom of my heart, but really to sort of summarize it. Never say no for an answer. And if somebody says that you can't do something, please kind of do it to prove them wrong. And ultimately, it's about you. And if you need support and if you feel like you're lacking those opportunities, you have got this network to support you. And you have got, you need to find your allies in your own services, really. I've been very, very fortunate that I've had some amazing mentors along the way. And most of them have come from Women in the Fire Service Network. And Jan Morris, I'm not sure if she's on a call. I could spend half day just mentioning all these names of all these wonderful women who have supported me, and also some of my male colleagues as well. So if there's any questions, that probably will be a bit better. I will be more than happy to answer those. But that's a bit about me.
Thank you ever so much. No, thank you. I love the way you speak from the heart. It's absolutely perfect. Thank you. What I will do there is just pause for a moment. I'm going to say, have we got any questions? So we have Obi.
Well done. Proud of you, seriously. Yeah, inspiration to us all because we can all learn from each other, you know what I'm saying? So well done.
And I think, Liana, it's kind of reflecting really on what Jules said to start with, which is, we're kind of always looking over our shoulders to see who's coming next. So, and there you are. Because not only are you kind of progressing and an inspiration, kind of to others, you're then also taking the time to help others as well, which is absolutely, what this is all about. But no, what a lovely reflection, and thank you. This year's theme for Women in the Fire Service Weekend, I'm pretty sure I'm throwing out there now. I think it's Stronger Together, and I think it's fair to say that means things really in a number of ways. Number one, I think it's that absolute kind of unity as a sector that we certainly, we know the problems we've got, and we certainly have to tackle those together. And certainly the NFCC is looking to do that. But equally, we recognise that the strength of women looking out for each other, supporting each other, giving people that little push that sometimes we all need, just being there and sharing, and that being stronger together kind of theme has probably never been as important as it is today. It's really interesting, the weekend. I think for those of you that have never been and are kind of wondering what it's like, number one, you'll come away very tired, but you'll probably come away absolutely exhilarated. It's kind of what the fire service would be like if it was completely run by women. So I'll probably kind of leave that thought for many of you, but it's an incredible weekend. And Leanne, I think it's interesting you talk about experience. I can remember my first, I think I was promoted probably after about 6 months out of my probation, so just kind of under 2 years to crew manager. And I can remember going into the office of the ADO at the time, in the olden days, and saying, I'm worried about my experience. And he said to me, well, what do you think's experience? I said, well, and I was on a watch with people that had done 28, 29 years. And I said, well, they're experienced, aren't they? And he said, don't think that experience is time served. He said, because it's very easy for somebody to, for 29 years, go to a job and sit in the back of the fire engine, or get out and do a job and just get back in the fire engine and drive back. But, they may have attended a lot of incidents. They may have gone and done a lot of things, but experience is exactly as you said, Liana, the reflection, thinking about the situations, the learning. So exactly that. Don't ever think that experience is just about the time served. It's exactly that. It's what experience you take from the situations that you put yourself forward into. And I think another thing I would just offer out is how sometimes we look at a role. So a role will come up, and you might kind of think to yourself, you'll look at that role, you'll go down through the essentials or the requirements of it, and you'll think, blimey, I don't know if I could do that. And probably before you've read the role profile or the advert, you probably talked yourself out of it. But I also reflect on colleagues that are, and the majority of them, no disrespect at all, but are men that'll probably look down, just maybe even read the advert, not even bother looking at the role profile, and decide that they're the best person for the job. It's just looking at things differently. It's just that whole, do you know what? You don't have to, as Liana said, really, just put yourself forward, give it a go, be brave, and see where it takes you. Liana.
Just wanted to kind of add a little bit onto that, about being ready for a role. I've never been ready for any of the promotion that I've taken. You're never ready, because if you're waiting for that moment that you're going to be ready, then you kind of almost stopped learning. And then kind of really, I think that's the day when I kind of stopped learning. I think I probably won't be in this job, in this sector anymore, because I won't be true to myself anymore. So please, if you're waiting for that day when you feel ready, that you've got enough operational experience, so you've done, all the kind of or desired criteria on those role maps, please, don't wait for that day. I think there's an English term, imposter syndrome. I think that's kind of, we do tend to sort of lack a little bit of self-belief, and lack of confidence is kind of pretty much what makes us so unique and authentic. But I think what I have learnt in my career, I use that almost to my strengths. I'm openly talk about it and share that, and then actually expose myself a little bit, because I show my vulnerable side, and it kind of has made me who I am, really. And I've been sort of true to myself from day when I joined as a firefighter, and now I'm going to carry on in the same manner. And another thing about that operational experience, Catherine, as you mentioned there, when I'm standing there on an incident ground, yes, I haven't got 20 years operational exposure behind me, but even regardless of the kind of time that I've been, when I stand there, I don't have all the answers. I am then looking at what team have I got, what crews have I got, what equipment is available to me. I speak to my colleagues, and I'm almost wanting to kind of get the best, I want to use their expertise, and collectively we'll always come to that solution and a plan. I'll always run my plan past, my team and say, have you got any better ways of doing this? And I think that's the key strengths. We're not quite ready for that in a sector yet, because we have different types of leaders. Some are a bit more assertive than others, but I don't have that approach. I don't go to incident ground and I don't shout at people, because I know I'm not going to get the best out of them that way. And I think that's again a real difference. So please don't feel that you'll have all the answers as an incident commander. You won't, because every job, even if you've been to that type of incident before, will be different, and it'll throw other curveballs in front of you. So just giving you that bit of a reassurance, really. You'll never be ready, but you kind of need to just, if that's the career pathway that you choose to take, surround yourself with supportive people, and who will get the best out of you, and that self-belief will come from within. Thank you.
Thank you. That's lovely. Rebecca, would you like to come in? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, Liana. Thanks for your talk. I really enjoyed it, and I've followed your career more recently, and I do think it's very inspiring. Something you said about that jump from firefighter to crew manager, completely agree with you, and I do think it's probably more of an issue for female firefighters. Certainly, so I work for Derbyshire, it's definitely something that gets spoken about here quite a bit. So I wondered what your advice might be. So how do we go and get that confidence? So it's a big step, but becoming a JO is, might be on someone's future plan, but they do feel that they've not got the experience, confidence. How do we get that? So I still feel like that, but what can be, how can I bring some more people up behind me and get some more women sat in the front of the truck?
Thank you, Bex. Really, really good question. And that's kind of very much, I'll share what worked for me and what I have seen worked well in other services, but perhaps there'll be other people on the call who can contribute. For me, the first things first is kind of putting yourself in that position in a really safe environment. So if there's an opportunities for like job shadowing, speak to your, instant commanders or speak to your, line managers, say, can I job shadow you for a day? Can I ride the, front of the clients, but you sit at the back? And again, you'll know who your allies are. There might be opportunity for you to go on, if your own watch can't facilitate that, maybe try going to a different station. And it's almost like, I think once you sort of start job shadowing, you then have the opportunity to ask those questions. If there's opportunity to do like have a go type sessions, when I was in Cumbrian people development sort of team, and we sort of introduced coaching workshops where people could come in, and it was very much interactive session where we kind of almost prepared them for that next step. Those coaching sessions then I have developed into like a national workshop. So if you do come to the National Women in Fire Sales Development Weekend, I run those workshops, coaching sessions there as well. So that's another opportunity for people to tap in if they wish to, because it just again prepares them a little bit more about what to expect from a kind of a promotions board, how to prepare them for that next step, and we kind of almost share the best practices in the room as well. And I think ultimately, have a look in your service what sort of support is available. If you're not getting that support in your immediate, and I'll share something, with my beginning, I was at a station which was actually rather quiet. There was only one pump station. Opportunities weren't coming along. I put a transfer request in to kind of a different station, and it was at Cheltenham at the time. And as soon as that transfer request was granted, it transformed those opportunities. So what I'm saying is not always the opportunities will come to you. You kind of almost have to look for them. I was very, very fortunate that at the time in Gloucestershire we had a phenomenal female, and she was watch manager at the time and then progressed into station manager, Jo Singh. I've actually approached her. She wasn't my kind of line manager or station manager. I said, listen, Jo, can you set up a few drills for me? Can I go in charge? Can I job shadow you? I even came in on my days off to job shadow her just to, get that experience. I know not everyone might have, those opportunities. But yeah, I hope that kind of helps, Bex. But definitely coaching sessions, job shadowing, and even approaching women in the fire service and see if you can get some mentors from other services. Women in the fire service, we as a network, we mentor each other. I went for my process with Greater Manchester. I had Jan Morris on the call, I had Jules, I had Catherine, you name it. Everyone's been there supporting me along the way, and then we celebrate that success together, and vice versa. When they're going through their processes or they have meetings that they need a bit of input, I'm there in the background supporting as well. So hopefully that helps you, Bex.
Yeah, thanks, Liana. I really want to offer more to our female firefighters who think they want to have a go but are just a bit daunted, and I completely get it. So yes, I might well be sending you a quick message to get some more ideas. Thank you.
Definitely. And please, as I said, this might not be the forum, but if anyone has any more, specific questions to their services and stuff, please drop me a line and I'll be more than happy to support.
And that is that real value of women in the fire service. Rebecca, kind of, if you've got a few people that are interested, again, kind of contact Jules, contact Karen, and it might be something that we can, maybe set up maybe a morning session or an evening session, whatever kind of suits you. There will be certainly many of us out there that can, again, have those conversations about the fears, the concerns. And as Jules said there as well, don't underestimate the difference that you're making. And, as Jules said, if you can't see it, you can't be it. What the work that you're doing, the visible leadership that you're providing, you'll be a role model for many people within your service. But if you need that bit of support, then as Liana said, you know where we are. Thank you. Any more questions? Any thoughts, any reflections anybody would like to share with us today?
I just wanted to add that those of you who are on the call who are not firefighters, who do other careers within the fire and rescue service, there are things that we can offer to you as well. So please don't feel as if this is just focused entirely on women who are firefighters. There are a number, and I know different fire and rescue services will give different naming conventions to different groups of staff. The one I'm going to use is enabling staff or non-firefighting professionals, which is my favourite, because what that does is ensure that we're all respected as professionals, regardless of the role that we do. So if you're a non-firefighting professional, there's a number of things that WFS can offer you, as well as the the broader things that have already been talked about, such as mentorship and coaching and experience, will also support you if you want to look at other careers, if you want to be promoted in your chosen profession. We're quite happy to step forward and help you with that. The other really great thing that I've found, because I've never been a firefighter, and what I've found from WFS is it can really give you that exposure to that frontline service that we provide to the public as firefighters, and to really get a taste and an understanding of what that's like. Because for those of us in non-firefighting professions, sometimes we can feel a bit separate from that, and we're not. We're all here to provide that service to the public, regardless of the job that we do. So I suppose I would like to throw it open to anyone who's not a firefighter to say, have you got any questions or anything that you would want WFS to provide for you other than what we're providing already?
Thank you, Miriam. So Jane Cork has also said that the NFCC coaching portal is certainly lifting off, as she's put it. And again, she's put the link there. A lot of feedback, Liana, about your journey, and thank you. Dawn's on the call. Dawn, hello. Lovely to thank you for joining us. Absolutely. The best leaders are those that don't assume they have all the answers, but use the views of others, which is absolutely what you said. One thing I would just like to say is I can see that there are many of our male colleagues on the call as well. What I would like to say is that thank you for coming, but allies are so important. Please don't underestimate genuinely the power that you have. There is sometimes I struggle to actually be able to tell people how good it feels when you're sat in a maybe in a room and something's been said that's inappropriate, and you kind of have that moment of, oh, I'm going to have to say something, and a male colleague it feels like they're going, I've got this. They're not, but that's what it feels like. If a male colleague kind of just comes in and says, I'd like to challenge that, it just feels like, to me, when that happens, just like a weight has just been taken off your shoulders just for a brief second. So a massive thank you to our male allies that have joined us today. We really appreciate all that you do and all that others do to support us. We certainly couldn't do this and wouldn't want to do this without you. But please keep fighting the fight and supporting us, because it means a lot. So thank you. Any other questions?
We tried to get some availability for the day in June or the weekend in June. Is there a cancellation list or anything?
Amy, we have been inundated with applications for this year's training and development event, and we have got a waiting list. Unfortunately, it's unlikely that we'll get many cancellations, but I think it's fair to say that we have definitely outstripped our demand. And I think, as someone said earlier, we'd love to run these training and development events, every week. I mean, there's a couple of comments in the chat about different regional events that are being running, and we do accept that we can't provide the weekend event for everyone, but most certainly we can look to work in regions to try and get that same kind of feeling, because it's about bringing people together. So remind me where you're from, Amy.
Yeah, we're Northumberland. So
Okay.
We just started off our own kind of women's network in the last sort of 2 years. And by the time we got the okay to say, yes, we can go and book some tickets, they'd all gone. So happy to kind of get any networks together and happy to support any regional events as well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I like the fact it is a ticketed event now. Makes it sound like a festival. Definitely a festival of celebration, I would say. Liana.
Just really quick one for Amy there. I think Northwest Regional event's going to be taking place after the national event. It's around September time, I think. Once Karen will have all the details. Jenny Nangle is the Northwest rep, so hopefully, you can kind of, because that's sort of, my geography is not very good, but I think kind of that's a little bit closer to where you are, and that might be another opportunity to kind of attend the regional event if you can't attend, if the spaces doesn't permit for the national event.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So just to make you aware, Lunch and Learn events are a regular occurrence that are run by the NFCC, covering a range of different topics. And I will just invite Robert in just to run you down some of the ones that are coming up before we close today.
Nice one. Thanks, Kat. So, obviously a few of you might have seen my name. I'm Robert Castle. I'm the programme coordinator for the People, Leadership and Culture, I think we're calling it now. Gets a bit confusing, but I just really wanted to take a quick minute, because we've had obviously a lot of participants. It's really good to get the engagement, is just to talk about lunch and learns briefly and get a bit of an idea of what people are kind of looking for. So obviously culture's been a big thing within the fire service. For me, attending the actual conference was really eye-opening. So just a bit of background on me. I'm also an on-call firefighter with Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue. So like mentioned earlier about a bit of imposter syndrome, I feel like very much I sit in on these things, and I still very much see myself as just an on-call firefighter. I think it would be really good to get people's feedback. First of all, we will send out a survey just seeing what people think went well, what we could do better, if there's anything I can do better to sort of facilitate these, and also what we should look at moving forward. So we do have a menopause awareness session coming in May. Now, as you're aware, it's quite a big topic. So what we'll look to do is almost run that as like a series. What we do with the one in May, what we'll look to do is kind of add more to that going forwards. But we don't just want that to be the menopause one, for example. If anyone can think of anything they think it would be really good to spend a bit more time on it, it would be great. So I'll make sure you all have my email, and we'll kind of go from there, if that's all right. I'm very nervous. If you can notice, most amount of people I've spoke to, like I said, I still see myself as just an on-call firefighter, but I kind of want to use the opportunity of Lunch and Learns as giving people a voice. I feel like I've been given that opportunity, and if I don't sort of take that by the horns and allow people to do that, I'm not really doing my job. So yeah, if anyone can kind of come back to me with anything that they think would be great, that'd be really, really good, and go from there. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And one thing I would say is, every single role that we do, and you are certainly never just an on-call firefighter. You're absolutely one of the pivotal cogs in the wheel of the fire service family, and I hope that we can retain that kind of family focus on across our sector. Thank you. And I think today you have done a great job at giving people the voice. And on that, I'll pass to Jules, and first of all, and then on to Liana.
Robert, I'm ever so sorry, but I'm not going to answer your question, which was ideas for future Lunch and Learns. But I did want to say thank you, because you are in this space sharing your vulnerability, which is really, really empowering. And I think there is no such thing as a just. And I hope you don't feel that you need to permission yourself to be in this space as an on-call firefighter, because you are here wanting, with your curiosity, and you're wanting to learn, and you're asking questions, and there is nothing more powerful than a man stepping in that space and saying, I want to understand. So I just wanted to say thank you.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Liana.
And Robert, I can only just echo what Catherine and Julia already said. The fact that you're actually opening up and saying that you're feeling the nerves, but listen, look at everyone in the screen, everyone who has spoken today, we all have those nerves. And the fact that you're putting yourself out there, that's the first step. Public speaking, English is not my first language. I didn't even speak English, 17 years ago. So kind of, it's been a big barrier, but also like an opportunity. So public speaking, the fact that the only way you can get better is like actually putting yourself in these type of forums, really. And you know what? I started my career as an on-call firefighter, and I never looked back. And you know what? Whatever your aspiration is, Robert, the fact that you actually putting yourself out there, well done. And you bring life skills. You are looking after your local community. I think that's why we're all here. Ultimately, we need to remember why we all joined the sector and the service in whatever role we performing. A bit like what Miriam said, it doesn't matter if you're green book or grey book or enabling role, or whether you're operational. We're all here to kind of support our communities out there and protect them and serve them in whatever capacity it kind of takes. So yeah, Robert, thanks for the opportunity, and what a great session. And I'll feed back. There's a couple of suggestions that I have in relation to sort of formatting, but yeah, I'll send that to you directly. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. Cheers for that. So like I said, Rachel, who you've probably seen, really helps me with this, Rachel Lorimer, so kind of big thank you to her. We will send out a survey. It's totally anonymous for feedback, and on another one of the tabs you can also sort of give suggestions as well to any Lunch and Learns you want to see. Obviously I'm only one mind when it comes to organising them, so it's really good to sort of get across the sector, like the collaboration, what do we think is going to support it, especially this year being such a big year with everything going on in culture. So yeah, great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you. Dawn's husband was started as an on-call firefighter and retired as a deputy chief. And I started as an on-call firefighter in a little place called Redruth in Cornwall. So it's we've certainly many of us have been there. Jules.
I've been making a few notes, and I just wonder in relation to a potential future session. A couple of people have spoken about, and I think Bex Sims mentioned it about. So we work an awful lot around recruitment, but actually maybe there's a bit of an opportunity around retention and how we support staff to take that first step in first line management, whether that's going from firefighter to crew manager or stepping into first line management for those not from a firefighting background. So I wonder whether that might be something that we could explore for a future lunch and learn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Excellent. They're all coming out the woodwork now. We've got Sarah Natras. Hi, Sarah. And many people on the call saying that their chief starters as on-call firefighters. So, yeah, as somebody said there, sky's the limit, Robert. So as we just kind of wrap up, I'm sure you're kind of just finishing your sandwiches. In my head, that's what people always do with this: sit down and have the sandwiches whilst learning. Just a massive thank you to Robert and your team for organising. Thank you to the NFCC for the platform. Thank you very much to our women in the fire service representatives for sharing what the organisation does, what it's all about, and indeed what we have seen through Liana is the lived experience. And thank you for sharing today. Thank you for your openness and indeed your passion and authenticity. Thank you very much indeed for everyone that's participated and joined today. Certainly look forward to seeing you on the next one.